Daniel Ocean?
You have been implicated in over a dozen other confidence schemes and frauds. What do you think you would do if released?
I don't know. How much do you guys make a year?
It's never been done before. You want to knock over a casino. 3 casinos? You gotta be nuts.
Exactly. This place houses a security system that rivals most nuclear missile silos.
Smash and grab job, huh? Slightly more complicated than that.
Oh, yeah.
You'd need at least a dozen guys doing a combination of cons.
10 ought to do it, don't you think? You think we need one more? You think we need one more? All right, we'll get one more.
We're just supposed to walk out of there with $150 million in cash without getting stopped?
Yeah.
It'd be nice working with proper villains again.
2, 1. Why don't you check the batteries? Now, they tell me that I paid my debt to society.
Funny, I never got a check.
Scared?
You suicidal?
Congratulations, you're a dead man.
He'll kill you. And then he'll go to work on you.
Someone call for a doctor? Here comes a girl.
You're a thief and a liar.
I only lied about being a thief.
Why do this?
Because the house always wins. Unless, when that perfect hand comes along, you bet big, and then you take the house.
Been practicing that speech, haven't
A
you?
little bit. Did I rush it? Felt like I rushed
That was
it.
good. I liked it.
So the trailer there kind of gives you the whole idea of the movie. You have best friends Danny Ocean, played by George Clooney, and Rusty Ryan, played by Brad Pitt, planning a heist of 3 different casinos for over $160 million from a casino owner, played by Andy Garcia, the lover of Ocean's ex-wife, played by Julia Roberts. Add in Matt Damon, Andy Garcia, I just said Andy Garcia, Casey Affleck, Scott Conn, Elliot Gould, Bernie Mac, Carl Reiner, Don Cheadle, and you got one of the most well-known remakes in terms of getting it right, where the other film worked for what it was. I mean, the 1960s movie was a Rat Pack movie. It was a Sinatra venue, and it was another Sinatra's guys, Sinatra, Dean Martin, Sammy Davis Jr., It was fine for the 1960s. This is a remake that takes a classic film and gives it its own slick, modernized, stylized look, and it doesn't feel like it's being forced onto you in any way, shape, or form. It feels like a real movie that they actually put effort into it, and they got a great director to do it, Steven Soderbergh. Steven Soderbergh's a phenomenal director. You've got a great cast: George Clooney, Matt Damon, Brad Pitt, Julia Roberts, an entirely stacked cast all around that I've already mentioned before, and it's just a really damn good movie. It's a movie that still holds up even after all these years, even after so many sequels that we've had with these characters. Nothing has ever been able to come close to what the original Ocean's 11 was able to do, but I mean, it's a classic film. It's a classic movie on so many levels. A slick, stylized look at one of the great movies of its time period, modernized for a new generation with a new cast, and a great cast, like I said, that features a ton of people that are going to win Oscars down the road. Julia Roberts had just won her Oscar at this point. Matt Damon had won his Oscar for Good Will Hunting. George Clooney would win an Oscar down the road. Brad Pitt, Casey Affleck. Not much more I can add to this movie that hasn't already been said already, man. It's just a great, great movie on so many different levels. Phenomenal film. I can't recommend this one enough. There's not much more I can add to it because really I've pretty much said everything that pretty much everybody else has said already. Ocean's 11, fantastic film. Can't recommend it enough. Definitely check it out.
I got you a present when I open it up.
I already know what's inside. David Ames' perfect life.
When will you call me?
Soon! Is about to become
What do I owe this pleasure?
The pleasure of Sophia. When did you stop caring, David?
a nightmare.
You've been charged with murder. Julie is alive.
Someone did this to me. Now, his search for the truth
How much did they pay you?
is going to take him farther than he ever imagined. Vanilla Sky, rated R, starts Friday, December 14th.
So Tom Cruise plays this magazine publisher who begins to question reality after he becomes disfigured in a car crash and ends up being framed for murder for a crime that he maybe didn't commit, maybe he did, but One of the things I like about this movie is that, unfortunately I can't show you the trailer on here because, that gets copyright striked on here. Not really copyright strike, but copyright claim, but, I like that the trailer starts off as a typical Tom Cruise movie. It feels like a Jerry Maguire movie, which coincidentally, Tom Cruise and Cameron Crowe worked on Jerry Maguire. But I love the turn that it takes halfway through the trailer, and you get the idea of what this movie is. You really don't have a sense of it, but it's this idea that you look at it and you think to yourself, what the heck is going on in this movie, and when does it come out? Because I really want to know what the hell is going on in it, and it definitely shows in the movie itself, because it really is a well-made movie. This is probably one of Tom Cruise's best movies overall. I mean, everybody in this movie does a fantastic job. Not just Cruise, Diaz, and Cruz, but you have Kurt Russell, Jason Lee, Noah Taylor, Timothy Spall, Tilda Swinton, Michael Shannon, Johnny Galecki's also in here, Alicia Witt. It's a very, very interesting film overall. And this is actually based off of a Spanish film called Abra los Ojos, which is, of course, Spanish for Open Your Eyes, as you hear in the trailer a lot. And I've actually never seen that movie, so I can't really compare the two movies, but this is a really, really good movie. It's a visual crowd pleaser on so many different levels. Like, it's really gorgeous to look at, and it really does keep you compelled in what the hell's going on here. And it's one of those movies that I like, these type of movies, where you basically don't have any idea of what the ending is supposed to really be straightforward. I mean, it's basically like, you have to figure it out on your own. You have to really look at this and and think of the ideas that they have for this. And there are a lot of interpretations you can take from it. I like movies that question that. I like a lot of movies that channel a lot of that, like the idea that the ending isn't going to be straight out right there for you to really get an understanding of. You really just need to look real closely and think to yourself, like, where's this going and what direction is this going to take? Because I'm an investor right now. I really want to know what the hell's going on. It's kind of like watching Inception, really, when you look at it. When you look at a movie like Inception, and you really have no idea whether or not he actually woke up, or is Leonardo DiCaprio is actually back in the regular world or in the dream world that he always wants to be in, and you always have the spindle, because of course it tells you if the spindle is falling, you're still in the dream. If not, you're very much in reality, and you think it starts to turn over a little bit, but the film cuts away before you can get an idea of what happens, and that's what this movie really does feel like to me. And it's just like, I love movies like this. I love movies that make you think. I love a movie that doesn't straight out tell you exactly what happens. It leaves you wondering what the hell is going to happen, what the hell this movie ends on, and I love it, man. I love how this movie just pretty much ends on a way where it's just like, you don't really know for certain what the hell is going on, but you're invested in what's going to happen at the end, and it does make you think at the end. Like, it's a thinking man's movie. It's a movie that makes you use your brain. It's not a movie that's there to be a turn your brain off type of film. It's a film that wants you to turn your brain on, think about everything that's been going on in this film, and what the overall climax of the movie is supposed to be in your mind. Like, it doesn't give you an ending that you want to see. It gives you an ending of what you want to think about, what you want to see, and that's what I really like about it overall. I think it's a very, very entertaining film, a very solid film, a film that asks you a lot of questions, and it just shows how great of an actor Cameron Crowe. Well, let me rephrase that again. But it just shows you how great of an acting core this is. Cruz, Diaz, and Penelope Cruz. But Cameron Crowe, it just shows how great of a director he has become. And with this, and then also Almost Famous, and then following that up a couple years later with Elizabethtown. I mean, this is a really damn good director. He does not make a lot of really bad movies. I mean, he's. It's funny because the last two movies he made as a director were probably his worst films, and We Bought a Zoo is not bad per se. Aloha is horrible, but this just goes to show you how great of a director Cameron Crowe really is, and kind of makes me wish he made more movies, because he hasn't really done a whole lot since Aloha. Aloha was the one that really kind of killed his career when it was all said and done, but I wanted to go back to making movies like this, movies that make you think, movies that actually make you wonder what's going on here, what the interpretations are, what your brain is thinking while you're watching this. And I want to see more of that, man. I want to see more of that in movies in general, because this is a movie that definitely deserves a lot more attention than I think it definitely gets right now. But from a visual perspective, from a story perspective, from an acting perspective, it just is fantastic, man. Vanilla Sky, top-notch stuff. Can't recommend this one enough. But if you do want a movie where you basically turn your brain off and have a good time with it, maybe the next movie will do the trick for you.
on December 14th. Welcome to the party, guys. Hungry? This is not another holiday movie. And it's not a feel-good movie. And it's definitely not an Academy Award-winning movie.
You better bring it. Oh, it's already been brought.
It's not another teen movie. Directed by Joel Gallen. Rated R. Opens.
You know, that guy could be Captain America one day. Just saying. Give him about 10 years, maybe he can make it work. But this is, of course, not another teen movie, which is one of the many spoof movies. But this was probably the first big one after the Scary Movie films had come out. Nobody really knew exactly what was going to happen once Scary Movie came out, who was going to what the next generation of spoof films were going to look like, and basically the plot of this movie is a parody of teen films. The main plot is basically She's All That, as well as a little bit of Varsity Blues, 10 Things I Hate About You, Can't Hardly Wait, Pretty in Pink, a lot of different movies from the 1980s and 90s all throughout this film. You know, all the John Hughes stuff, Bring It On, American Pie, Cruel Intentions, American Beauty, Never Been Kissed, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Can't Buy Me Love, Jawbreaker, 16 Candles, Dazed and Confused, Lucas, Rudy, Breakfast Club, even Grease is thrown in there. Independence Day is thrown in there, for God's sakes. I mean, this is the type of movie that Jason Freeberg and Eric Seltzer killed with stuff like Date Movie, Epic Movie, Meet the Spartans later on down in the decade. But for this time of the year, for this is coming off a Scary Movie, I actually prefer this more than the Wayans Brothers Scary Movie films, which is really, really odd, because there is a lot of moments in this movie that are not really all that clever, not really all that amazing, but they're so stupid, but it's so funny at the same time, and it's got a talented cast to work off it. I mean, you know, you got Kyler Lee, who's criminally underrated. I don't think they used her a lot very well after this movie came out. I mean, there's been a couple things, but nothing that really made her a superstar, like somebody like Chris Evans or Jamie Presley, or even Eric Christian Olsen. I mean, look at what he's done since this movie's come out. I mean, you've got also Mia Kirshner, Sam Huntington, Sam Levine, Josh Radnor has a cameo in here as well. Lacey Chabert has a cameo in here as well. Serena Vincent, you know, Randy Quaid, just top-notch cast in this, and they make this material work. And while it's not Naked Gun, it certainly is a lot better than I think a lot of people would give it credit for, considering what, you know, spoof movies in general were about to become, with stuff like Date Movie, Epic Movie, Meet the Spartans, all those things. But this is one of those ones where it's just like, it's so funny, it's so ridiculously stupid, but it's hilarious at the same time. I mean, like, it's not a great movie. It's not going to be one of them to consider one of the greatest comedies of all time, but I laughed much harder than I think anybody would have expected with a film like this. And it knew what it was trying to accomplish, and it succeeded for the most part. I mean, it's a stupid, fun movie, but it's a hilariously fun, stupid movie. It's like this Christmas's Dude Where's My Car from the year before. It's just like really, really funny stuff, really stupid stuff, but I loved every minute of it. So that's not another teen movie for you. So let's go ahead and move on to the last one we have here, and that is Wes Anderson's The Royal Tenenbaums. So The Royal Tenenbaums tells the story of, well, basically the narrative is influenced by the writing of J.D. Salinger, and it follows the lives of three gifted siblings who experience great successes in their youth and even greater disappointments and failure in adulthood. Relevant much? I mean, I definitely can see it, but the children's eccentric father, Royal Tenenbaum, played by Gene Hackman, leads them in their adolescent years and returns to them after they have grown, falsely claiming he has a terminal illness. He works on reconciling with his children and his ex-wife, played by Angelica Houston. And you see the cast there: Danny Glover, Gene Hackman, Angelica Houston, Bill Murray, Gwyneth Paltrow, Ben Stiller, Luke Wilson, Owen Wilson. Pretty much the regulars of Wes Anderson movies. And this was my introduction to Wes Anderson. I think it was a lot of people's introduction to Wes Anderson. Everyone looked at this and said, who is this guy? And, you know, where did he come from? Even though he had made a couple of movies before him. But this was the first movie I ever saw him make. And right away, I was a fan of his work. I've been a fan of his work for a number of years. I mean, I've liked every Wes Anderson movie. There mostly very predictable, especially the latter films, but they're still really enjoyable from the visual perspective, from the story perspective, from the way that they're presented. They're still mesmerizing movies to watch, and he's one of those few directors where every time there's a new movie that comes out of his, I have to watch it, no matter what it is, even if it's not a movie that's one of his better films in general. Excuse me, but even if it's not one of his better films in general, it's still a film that I have to watch. Like, I really liked Asteroid City. I thought that was a really good film. A lot of people were very mixed on that film, but I love the visual concept of it. I love some of the really silliness, the wacky silliness of it. I mean, the movies he makes do get really ridiculous, but like I said, this was the film that really introduced me to the world of Wes Anderson. I'm glad I never went back, because this is probably his overall best film overall. I mean, he's made a lot of great movies, but this is definitely one of those movies that I always go back to every once in a while and watch, just from the cast alone. Fantastic cast, from the visual perspective, from the story perspective. I mean, you can tell he takes a lot of influences from classic films, stuff like, just like Wikipedia says, like The Magnificent Ambersons by Orson Welles, or The Fire Within by Louis Malle. Like, you could definitely see that. Like, and there's a lot of things about it you can definitely relate to. The fact that in the plot description, it says, like, 3 gifted siblings, they have great success in their youth, and they come to the reality of adulthood and realize that you're bound for disappointment and failure, and you come to the point where, kind of like the catchphrase I've been using as of late, life has no real happy endings. You just got to accept that there's going to be a lot of disappointments in your life, and sure enough, I think this movie kind of perfects that pretty well. It's a really good coming-of-age story that basically hits you deep in the gut and tells you that, hey, not everything's going to work out in life, but you got to find a way to move on and just be yourself and just try to get through another day. And, like, really top-notch stuff. And, Wes Anderson and Owen Wilson do a fantastic job handling the script for this. The direction for this is top-notch. A visual flair, beautiful cinematography. I love the cinematography for this movie. Robert Yeoman does a great job with this. Mark Mothersbaugh does a really good job with the score. It's a really fantastic film. It's a film that I always go back to, and it's one of my. It's very. I said it's one of my favorite Wes Anderson movie. It's definitely very, very high up there. If it's not my favorite one, because I like a lot of his movies. I love I love the Grand Budapest Hotel a lot. I love Isle of Dogs and Fantastic Mr. Fox are very, very high up there, and those are movies that are stop motion films, but I love those movies a lot. It really does vary a lot. It's kind of like my favorite Quentin Tarantino movie. Like, my favorite one, like, it's always a mix. It's always either Pulp Fiction or Jackie Brown. I can't really decide between one or the other. I love both of them so much. It feels the same way with the Royal Tenenbaums. Royal Tenenbaums is the one I watch a lot, but I also watch Fantastic Mr. Fox, Isle of Dogs a lot. I watch a lot of Wes Anderson films a lot, so. But, yeah. Royal Tenenbaums is one of those ones that I definitely watch a lot, and it's one of my favorite movies, one of my favorite comedies from Wes Anderson, one of the reasons why I became a Wes Anderson fan to begin with. Just a terrific, terrific film. I can't recommend this one enough. The Royal Tenenbaums. If you have not seen it, do yourself a favor and see it, because you're doing yourself a major, major disservice by not doing so.
One ring to rule them all. One ring to find them. One ring to bring them all. And in the darkness, bind them.
Yeah, you thought Harry Potter was a big gamble for Warner Brothers. Harry Potter wasn't going to bankrupt the studio. This thing fell flat big time. And considering that New Line Cinema had Dungeons & Dragons the previous Christmas, yeah, they needed Lord of the Rings to really take off because they put a lot of money into this movie. I mean, they were literally gambling the entire studio on this thing working. And that's no joke. This thing had been in development for several years, all the way back to 1997 when they first developed. When Peter Jackson first developed this with Christian Rivers, who became a director in his own right, yeah, they brought in a number of different people all the way back. This thing started shooting all the way back in 1999, and they shot all 3 films. I think they shot all 3 films back to back, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong on that, but I'm looking at the Lord of the Rings Fellowship of the Ring page here while I'm looking here, but I don't see anything in particular that says that, but I mean, they shot all 3 films back to back. I'm going to say that they did, but in addition to that, they had this was a movie that they had been promoting for almost a year in advance. I mean, the first trailer came out over a year before the movie actually came out. I think she actually did put the trailer out in front of Dungeons and Dragons. And if I remember right, I think there was actually a commercial I saw on YouTube where they actually did say, come see Dungeons and Dragons and then see the brand new trailer for the Lord of the Rings plastered onto it. But now I'm curious. I want to see if I can find it. Okay, I couldn't find it on there. But I could have sworn I saw one commercial on there that said, come see Dungeons and Dragons and see the trailer for the Lord of the Rings. But bottom line is that the Lord of the Rings was a huge gamble for New Line Cinema in many different ways. Like I said, the studio was literally riding on this thing, paying off in the end, and New Line put a lot of the effort into Peter Jackson's hands. I mean, and luckily it paid off big time because Peter Jackson did a hell of a job of bringing this epic to the big screen, and it started with the Fellowship of the Ring. The story of this one is that you have the story of the Dark Lord Sauron, who seeks the One Ring in Middle-earth, of course, which contains part of his might to return to power. As the trailer says, one ring to rule them all, one ring to find them. The ring has found its way to the Hobbit, Frodo Baggins, played by Elijah Wood. The fate of Middle-earth hangs in the balance as Frodo and 8 companions who form the Fellowship of the Ring begin their perilous journey to Mount Doom in the land of Mordor, the one place where the ring can be destroyed. And the journey begins, and from a visual perspective, from a story perspective, the fact that it's basically 3 full movies where it's nothing but, for the most part, people walking and then coming across obstacles. Peter Jackson did a hell of a job of convincing everybody that this was as epic and grand as it should be, because, I mean, this is about as close as you're going to get to something like a Spartacus or a Ben-Hur, like the classic epic movies of the 60s, and this, I mean, Lord of the Rings really was that epic film that many people wanted to be, like another Spartacus, like another 10 Commandments, like those movies we had back in the day. And Peter Jackson proved to everybody that, hey, I'm the guy that can do this. And he not only proved it once, he proved it twice as well, because he did a pretty good job for the most part with The Hobbit, even though the Hobbit films are definitely not as good as the Lord of the Rings movies, but then again, they could be worse. They could be Fantastic Beasts, so to the Harry Potter series. But you got a great cast overall here, perfect casting in general. Elijah Wood as Frodo Baggins, Ian McKellen as Gandalf the Grey, Liv Tyler, Viggo Mortensen, Sean Astin, Cate Blanchett, John Rhys Davies, Christopher Lee, Orlando Bloom, Dominic Monaghan, Hugo Weaving, Andy Serkis, Ian Holmes, Sean Bean. Just great cast overall. The music of Howard Shore. Like I said, the visual flair of the movie, it really does feel like the books are coming to life. And, I mean, there's not much really more I can add to this that hasn't already been said already. And like I said, it was a big gamble, but it paid off big time for New Line Cinema. That kept them in business. Hopefully, they thought for the foreseeable future, but then how do you make 3 of the biggest movies of all time and then go out of business 7 years later, being sold off and cut into Warner Brothers? I mean, how does that happen? But we'll eventually get to that as we go down the road here. But Lord of the Rings: The Fellowship of the Ring, what more can I say about it, man? It's an epic on so many levels, and it's one of those ones that I did not get to see in theaters when it came out. I didn't really have much of an interest in Lord of the Rings when it came out at first. But then as time went on and I was getting ready to see the Hobbit movies, I figured, you know what? It's time to finally watch these movies. I'm glad I finally got a chance to watch them after all those years, because I can see what everybody was talking about. These movies are incredible. These movies still hold up. These movies are just as epic as they were when they came out. And, I mean, what more can I say, man? The Lord of the Rings is just a masterpiece on so many levels. And it's only going to get better from there because we have 2 more sequels coming after this. And those ones got better. And in a way, it got better and better as the series went on. So, but yeah, like I said, not much more to say about this one. The Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring, terrific, terrific film. And so let's go ahead and move on to our next movie, a movie that literally said was going to be the next phenomenon.
Get ready for the launch of a new phenomenon.
Not a Lord of the Rings or Harry Potter type of phenomenon, but down the road it did eventually become a phenomenon for a little bit. Jimmy Neutron Boy Genius.
Meet Jimmy Neutron. He's a boy genius.
My latest invention, the shrink ray. Will it work on your big head? Better luck next time. Jay, Isaac Neutron.
Mom says you're grounded.
Maybe I should check on
No, freeze that image. Oh, the search is over.
Our parents have been kidnapped by aliens! It'll give us about 2 days to build our fleet of interstellar warships. Any questions? Yeah, here we go.
From Paramount Pictures and Nickelodeon Movies.
Hang on, everyone!
Get ready to glance.
If we blow up, whatever's left of me is kicking your butt.
So if you watched Nickelodeon in 2000 and 2001, you saw a lot of promotion for this movie. You couldn't go to a movie theater, a kid's film, in 2000 or 2001. I remember, without seeing a trailer for this, I remember when 102 Dalmatians came out in November of 2000, and all of a sudden the trailer for this came out, and it took over a year for it to come out. I guess it was supposed to come out later, before then, but then got pushed back. But I mean, the movie had a lasting impact on a number of people who watched Nickelodeon, who watched animation back then, especially watched the Nicktoons. It was Nickelodeon's first attempt at computer animation, and it lasted, and it had a lasting legacy to it. I mean, it was nominated for it was one of the first 3 films to be nominated for Best Animated Feature at the Academy Awards in a year where Shrek and Monsters Incorporated were in there. They decided to put this one in there too. I don't know why. I guess maybe they didn't see any other movie in there being a film that could easily compete with that. But of course, the movie was a success, not just at box office, critically, at the Oscars. Led to a great TV series, a not so great spin-off series that makes Pinky, Elmira, and the Brain look like the original Pinky and the Brain by comparison with Planet Sheen. But let's go back to the beginning. Let's go back to where it all began. As the story is, Jimmy Neutron is a boy genius and way ahead of his friends, but when it comes to being cool, he's a little behind. All until one day when his parents and parents all over Earth are kidnapped by aliens, it's up to him to lead all the children of the world to rescue their parents and by children of the world. I don't know why that plot just ended there. I mean, I'm looking at it just like, wait, is that really what it looked like when I made this? When I looked up this, I should say, yeah, the synopsis has so many question marks to it, but you know what? It's a Nickelodeon movie. At this point, questioning logic in a Nickelodeon movie has become a recurring theme with these movies from the very beginning. You just gotta accept it, that not everything in these movies are gonna make a ton of sense as long as you're having fun with it. And it's a fun Nickelodeon movie. Maybe the biggest flaw of the movie is the animation, but then again, it's 2001. It's not supposed to... I mean, we didn't really have animation like we have nowadays. I mean, it's choppy, yes, but this was Nickelodeon's first attempt at computer animation. I mean, it's not great animation, but at times, the more I watch it now, the more I can see when there are times when the animation does look very good. Like when they're in space and they have to go out through the meteor shower, or even the fun climax at the end. Like, there are times when the animation has grown on me, but for the most part, the animation still is very much a heavy flaw to the film, but then again, you have to remember that this was right early on before before everybody started to make computer animation look more refined like it does nowadays. This was still back when computer animation was still seen as more of a necessity than it was more of a I always keep messing up this quote I want to use. When computer animation was more of an accessory than a necessity, because I always say the same thing about streaming as well. Like streaming is not really the future. I think as much as I think people want to make it out to be. I mean, it's more of an accessory than a necessity right now. I would gladly still take a physical copy of anything any day of the week, but same could be said about computer animation back in 2001. But like I said, it was still very early on in the computer animation thing, and we had no idea that was going to become the norm, not but a couple years later. But we'll eventually delve into that as we go along here. But the rest of the movie overall is very good. A strong voice cast, great characters, very fun to watch these villains played by Patrick Stewart and Martin Short. They're goofy fun. Sometimes the writing can be really clever and very smart, too. I mean, there are a lot of jokes that pay off here. A lot of jokes very dated, but it's 2001. What do you expect? But it just works well for what it is. It's a movie where it knows it's made for kids, but it also can have an edge to it that adults can find enjoyable as well. It's got that unique charm to it that works. Even if a lot of the animation doesn't really hold up well, it's still a fun movie. I always like going back to it every once in a while. And Jimmy Neutron's just a great character overall. So yeah. Hey, great adventure film. Blast off to it. Have the time of your life. I know I did when I saw this back then. But I digress. Let's go ahead and move on to the next movie, and that is How High?
Christmas, Method Man and Red Man are going to college.
Harvard, gentlemen, is not just any joint.
And higher education will never be the same.
I am watching.
We're virgins. Yeah, both of us.
What?
I got the munchies like a mother.
Method Man. Hello. Red Man.
What's your name?
This is insane. How High, rated R. At theaters Friday, December 23rd.
I friggin' love How High. How much do I love How High? I bought some socks down in Disney World a couple of years ago. Yes, Disney World had How High socks. Actually, technically, it was Disney Springs inside the Stan sock store. That's a tongue twister right there. But seriously, if you ever go down to Disney Springs, look at that place, Stan's, which is surprisingly a really cool-looking sock store where they have all these different designer socks and all that. And I bought some socks down there, and they actually had How High socks. It was just like, I wish I could show them to you, but unfortunately I couldn't find them. I guess I already wore them and I didn't know about it, so that's why I don't have them with me right now. But I did buy some socks down there for How High, because I saw them and they were just like, I gotta have these because I just love this movie so much. I mean, I'm really starting to put together now that movies around this time period, stupid comedies that would never work in any other decade and would be seen as just really stupid, bad movies, just like, they're really funny movies, and How High is a stupid, funny movie that I laugh my ass off every single time. From the very beginning of this movie made me laugh so hard. Some of the ridiculousness of this film, the ridiculous elements, the plot elements make no sense. I mean, you have a story here where you have Method Man and Red Man who play two cannabis users who are visited by the ghost of a deceased friend after smoking his ashes. So what happens? The ghost decides to help them with their exams, and they get so much good grades that they get scholarships to Harvard University. And hilarity ensues. It's one of the most ridiculous plots you'll ever hear, and yet it makes for one of the funniest movies, funniest underrated gems, I should say, because I don't know what the following is. I guess this has a big following if they're making merchandise off of this and making socks out of it, and that can be sold inside of Disney World of all places, but I freaking love this movie, man. This is one of those movies that I always go back to. It's just like, it's one of the stupidest movies ever, but every time I watch it, there are always moments in this movie that will make me laugh out loud. Like, this movie has so many moments in this where they're so ridiculously stupid. They're so unbelievably insane of what they're trying to do here. And it's just like, you can't help but laugh at them. Like, there are so many funny moments in this film. Like, there's the whole thing with, like, in the beginning of the movie, there's, Ivory, who's the friend of Silas, and he basically dies, and then later on in the movie, when his ghost comes back to Silas, and he's talking about, you know, we're friends to the, even if I get hit by a bus, and Methan's just like, matter of fact, your ass wasn't even hit by a bus, and it flashes back to the night he dies, and like, because when the movie plays, it just ends with him falling to the ground. You think that's it, and then he gets back up, and he's just like, Ivory's just like, I made it. I can't feel my legs, but I'm alive. And then the bus hits him. He's screaming, and then he dies. It's just like moments like that are great. There's one running gag in particular here that I don't know why this made me laugh so hard when it happened, but there's a part in the movie where, of course, this is a college movie where you got to have the big hunky jock guy who thinks he's better than everybody going up against one of the characters from the movie, and that's Jamal. And his mother in this is played by Anna Marie Horsford from the Friday movies. And there's this running gag where every time he has these flashbacks and all that, his mother keeps coming in there out of nowhere, like during his dreams and all that. There's a part where they're in a canoe race, and I think they're teamed up in a canoe, and like while they're canoeing and while they're doing that, all of a sudden up in the air you see his mother lambasting him, and he's just it's that'd be funny enough to just have his mother up in the sky, but no, they take it to another level. And they have the bully in this movie, the jerk in the movie, look up in the sky and go like, "Who the hell is that woman in the sky?" And like everybody's looking up in the skies. It's like, I mean, it's so stupid, but it's so funny at the same time. And I think it's just because they have terrific actors all throughout this movie. I mean, not just Method Man and Redman, but Oba Babatunde, who plays Dean Cain in this, is hilarious. Melissa Peterman from Reba's in this, playing a very good role here. Mike Epps is very funny in here. You know, Fred Willard, Jeffrey Jones, Hector Elizondo, Lark Voorhees from Saved by the Bell, Essence Atkins from Girlfriends, Spalding Gray's in this, Tracy Morgan, Garrett Morris has a cameo in here, Pat Finn, you know, Chuck Liddell, Amber Smith, Cypress Hill. Like, there's a ton of incredible actors in this movie, and they make this really over-the-top and insane material work as well as it does. Excuse me. It's over the top. I can't talk without burping, but it's absolutely brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant stuff, man. It's stupid, but it's brilliance. I mean, there are so many memorable moments in this movie. I Need Money, played by Al Shearer, is great. There's a great moment towards the end where he very rarely talks in the movie, and Dean Cain's finally about to say, "You know what, screw it, I'm going to kill these two guys who've been getting on my nerves." Jamal, he's about to throw this axe at him, and he hits I Need Money, and he just goes like, "Oh, this motherfucker done messed up my shit." And the way he says it, like, it's like the way he says it is one of the funniest things I have ever heard. This whole movie is pure hilarity. It is so stupid. It's the laziest type of film ever, because you know what the story is going to be like. It's a story we've seen done over and over and over again, but you know what? I can't help it, man. This movie made me laugh long and hard. This movie is so friggin' funny. I mean, it's a classic movie, man. I love this movie so much. I can't recommend this one enough. If you want a good, fun, stupid comedy, like this is the type of movies that I loved back in the day, and looking back on them, this is one of those ones that still holds up very well. This is a movie that makes me laugh every time I see it. I can't recommend it enough, even if you don't know Method Man and Redman's music in general, because I don't listen to a lot of Method Man and Redman music to begin with, but I do like these guys as comedic actors. They had a show on Fox called Method and Red, which was absolutely great. Canceled after one season, of course, because it's Fox, but these guys can be very funny comedic actors, and this movie shows why. I mean, what more can I say about this movie, man? How High is absolutely brilliant. If you're looking for a fun, over-the-top comedy, How High is definitely it. I can't recommend this one enough. Definitely check this movie out. It's definitely worth the while. That's a great comedy. Now let's get to a terrible comedy. Tim Allen with Joe Somebody. But before we get to Joe Somebody, I'm praising the heavens of How High. I completely forgot that there was a movie in between them that should be talked about first, and that is, of course, not a comedy per se, but a comedic actor is in it, Jim Carrey, in a new film from Frank Darabont, and that is The Majestic.
Welcome to your town. Once upon a time, a stranger came to town. You seem an odd bit familiar. I don't even know who I am. Only to discover he might not be such a stranger after all. It's Luke. You are my son, from the director of The Shawshank Redemption and The Green Mile. Who are you, really? Just a guy trying to figure things out. Jim Carrey.
Do you remember me?
No, I'll sure try. The Majestic, rated PG, starts Friday, December 21st.
So in The Majestic, you have the story of Jim Carrey as a 1950s Hollywood screenwriter suspected of being a communist, And after suffering amnesia as a result of a road accident, he's taken in by the residents of a small town who mistake him for a local resident who went MIA while serving in the military during World War II. This is Frank Darabont, of course, who gave us The Shawshank Redemption and The Green Mile. And Jim Carrey has proven he has a lot of chops, not just as a comedic actor, but also as a dramatic actor. We saw it in The Truman Show. Even in something like Man on the Moon, which was not a great film, he was still pretty good in it. But this, as much as I want to give him a lot of credit in the world for doing something that's completely outside of his norm, this is not a very good movie. And I think I know why. This is not written by Frank Darabont. He directed it, he produced it, but this is a script written by Michael Sloan. And Michael Sloan is a guy that has not really done a whole lot of notable works before this movie came out. The stuff he did before then, he was an actor with stuff like Teen Lust and Revenge of the Red Baron. And then he did the script for The Majestic. And then he'd later go on to work with Frank Darabont again on the TNT series Mob City later on down the road. He hasn't really done a whole lot as a screenwriter, and I think that was the biggest problem with the movie right from the get-go, was the fact that they went to a guy that hadn't really done a whole lot as a screenwriter, and I feel like if Frank Darabont had more hand in the script for this probably would have been a whole lot better, but because of that, the movie feels rather pretentious. It feels like a movie that is literally the definition of an Oscar bait movie, where you can tell just Jim Carrey's trying so hard to get that Oscar nomination and win, but you know, it's just not really worth it, and it's part of his performance that really is struggling to really carry the load. Like I said, in Man on the Moon, which is not a good movie by any means, Jim Carrey was notoriously known for taking it over the top with this performance of Andy Kaufman, but the guy was trying in that movie, regardless of if the movie didn't turn out that well. Here, it's just him trying to go for the Oscar, and it just didn't fly. It was the first real misfire for Jim Carrey overall, in my opinion. I think this is the one that really a lot of people looked at and said, yeah, you kind of pushed it too far with this one here. And I really wish it was better. It was one I was actually looking forward to when it came out, because I like a lot of Jim Carrey's works, but this is just like, yeah, unfortunately, it's definitely what everyone says it is. It's an Oscar bait movie, and not a very good one. It runs for too long, and I feel like if Frank Darabont had more of a hand in the script, this probably would have turned out a whole lot better. But as it is, it's a pretty bad movie overall. And it's a shame, because the potential clearly is there. I mean, I think Jim Carrey can prove that he's got the dramatic acting chops, but this is just one of those ones where it's just like, yeah, it just wasn't going to work without Darabont's hand in the script overall, and Carrey actually giving a character that we can actually like. But yeah, just a complete misfire on a number of different levels. So, a pass on that one, The Majestic. So now let's get to the really bad comedy I was trying to get to beforehand, and that is Tim Allen in Joe Somebody.
Are you excited to hit me? Becoming a hero, I want a rematch, is easy. Been waiting for 3 years for someone to drop that shirt. Actually being one. They named a sandwich after me. Here's another story. I want to psych the guy out. You talking to me? No. Why not? That's why. From the director of The Santa Claus.
What are you, like 12?
Tim Allen is Senor Popular. Joe Somebody. Rated PG. December 21st. Only in theaters. When someone took his pride, are you like threatening to hit me? I'm gonna go with, yeah. Joe Shepard. You took something of mine, I want it back. Took a stand. Try to hit me in the face. Do people ever come back here? This Christmas, be bold.
What are you, like 12?
Be brave. Hey, somebody. You talking to me? Tim Allen is Joe Somebody. I'll take everything I see here, and if necessary, I'll buy that head. A Christmas comedy for everybody.
Hey, speaking of Jim Carrey, he actually was originally offered this movie, but he turned it down to The Majestic, so yeah, basically he would have been screwed either way if he had taken The Majestic or Joe Somebody. But Joe Somebody, this is a story where you basically have Tim Allen as an ordinary man forced into violence by a workplace buddy played by Patrick Warburton. You ever see the movie Big Bully? I mean, just take Tom Arnold and Rick Moranis out of there and put Tim Allen and Patrick Warburton in there. And while this is not as bad as Big Bully, it's pretty bad. This is one of those ones that we went to go see it because my family loved Tim Allen back then. I loved Tim Allen back then. This is directed by the same guy that did the Santa Claus and Jungle to Jungle, a guy that Tim Allen has been well known to work with. He worked on episodes of Last Man Standing with him in Home Improvement. So the pieces were definitely there for maybe something good, but the plot really is not that special. I mean, no, it is special. It's an after-school special, except replace the children with grown-ups. And the message of the movie overall doesn't make a whole lot of sense, and the ending really was kind of like, what was the point of this movie, Lynn? I mean, I don't get what they were trying to accomplish with this. And I thought Tim Allen was okay. I thought Patrick Warburton was not that great in here. And I like Patrick Warburton a lot. I think he's a great actor. And here, he's not really given a whole lot to do. In fact, nobody here is really given a whole lot to do. Julie Bowen's kind of wasted here. So is Kelly Lynch, Greg German from Ally McBeal, who Hayden Panettiere is also in here. It was actually one of her early roles before she eventually would join Ally McBeal in the last season. And Jim Belushi in here as well. I mean, a good cast, but just not a good story or something interesting in general here. And the movie doesn't make a whole lot of sense. There are moments in this film that just really are not that funny or that interesting. Like, they have this scene in Target where it's him and Patrick Warburton, it's Tim Allen and Patrick Warburton fighting for whatever reason. Like, they're racing carts or something. Like, why are they doing this? I don't know. We're trying to fill out a runtime here. I mean, this is a $38 million movie. Where did $38 million go for a movie like this? And it's just like the movie just really just... Nothing happens in this movie. No, there's no purpose. There's no point. There's nothing at the end of this movie that makes me say, wow, this was all worth it in the end. It's just a big misunderstanding, and it just ends with kind of a cop-out, too. Like, I mean, I don't know what else to say about this movie. This is a bad, bad film. Like, it isn't funny. It's really devoid of all these great, talented people in front of the camera, and it just has no purpose to exist except that 20th Century Fox just wants to get the movie out for Christmas. So, put this out there. I mean, this thing was literally shot in 8 weeks, but they probably were thinking, well, Jingle All the Way was shot in only a couple of weeks, and look at how well that turned out. But Jingle All the Way had a gimmick to it that actually worked, and it was actually funny. This is not. This is a movie that's just like, man, what a misfire this was. Major, major misfire. Avoid this one like the plague. I hate this movie. Joe Somebody, Tim Allen, I think you're much better than this, man. But, so, on that note, let's go ahead and end on a positive note. Let's take a look at the Best Picture winner of 2001, which came out on limited release this weekend, and that is Russell Crowe and Ron Howard's A Beautiful Mind.
It's the winner of 4 Golden Globe Awards: Best Picture, Best Actor, Best Screenplay, and Best Supporting Actress.
I need to believe that something extraordinary is possible.
Discover the motion picture audiences and critics are calling one of the very best movies of the year. A triumph for director Ron Howard. Russell Crowe's performance is nothing short of astonishing. A Beautiful Mind, rated PG-13, now playing at theaters everywhere.
So A Beautiful Mind is basically about the mathematician John Nash, played by Russell Crowe. And the story begins in Nash's days as a brilliant but asocial mathematics graduate student at Princeton University. And after Nash accepts secretive work in cryptography, he becomes liable to a larger conspiracy, through where he begins to question his reality. And the cast also includes Ed Harris, Jennifer Connelly, Paul Bettany, Judd Hirsch, Adam Goldberg, Josh Lucas, Anthony Rapp, and Christopher Plummer. And this won Best Picture that year, and while Lord of the Rings probably should have won, it would eventually win down the road with the third film, but this is a really good movie, and I do really like it a lot. I don't think it's Ron Howard's best movie in general. I think Ron Howard's made a whole lot better films than this, but hey, it got him the Academy Award, and that's all that matters to him. I mean that's what everybody wants. I mean, everyone wants an Oscar. I mean, like I have two Oscars of my own here, but the difference is mine are actually made by Etsy, and these are ones that are actually made by the Academy. But I'm still proud of them. I like them a lot, but this isn't about me. This is about this movie here. And hey, like I said, Ron Howard finally got an Oscar that he deserved. He's a really good director, and he definitely deserves to win one. It's funny because Russell Crowe almost would have been another Tom Hanks, where he won back-to-back Oscars over the course of a couple of years, because he won the Oscar the year before for Gladiator. And he was considered the front runner up until he had the incident with the phone, where he threw a phone at somebody, and his anger management situation got in the way, and basically all those possibilities of him becoming another Tom Hanks went down the toilet. But I mean, Denzel Washington won for Training Day, so I guess there was something in there. And Russell Crowe got his Oscar already, too. So, I mean, it's not like he's not going to lose sleep over that. And, you know, Jennifer Connelly won an Oscar, too, which I thought she was really good in the film. The movie really is a well-made film. It's a very interesting character study. You're following this guy, trying to figure out how he knows all this stuff and how he's going to get through these situations that he has to deal with in this particular situation. And just trying to figure out, you know, how he's going to get out of it and try to figure out like I said, it's a very interesting character study, and Russell Crowe plays the role very well, and you can see why he was considered the frontrunner for this, because it shows how great of an actor he can really be. He really is a terrific actor, and he definitely shows it in this film. At times there are some moments where that can be Oscar baitish, and moments where you can tell they're feeling a little too melodramatic, but it never gets to the point where it ruins the ebb and flow of the film. I think the film does a very good job of handling the story very well. It's a really good movie. I can see why it won Best Picture, because it definitely is a film that is very well made. It's a film that definitely shows that there is more to the eye of the beholder. And, yeah, not much more to say about that one. A Beautiful Mind, Best Picture winner of 2001 at the Oscars, and hard not to see why.
The people's champion. All the ladies out there, they know.
I ain't got to be what nobody else want me to be. And I ain't afraid to be what I want to be.
Rated R. Opens everywhere Christmas Day.
Come on, y'all. Let's rock up. Rumble like a butterfly, sting like a bee. Rumble, young man, rumble. I'm popping with the jazz. You can go to Alabama, you can go to Sweden. Everybody knows that I am the champ. You know I'm great. He will fall in 8. I ain't scared of you. I ain't scared of you. I'm a man. You know I'm the greatest.
Opens everywhere Tuesday.
So this is, of course, the film that focuses on 10 years in the life of boxer Muhammad Ali, played by Will Smith. It takes place between 1964 and 1974, featuring his capture of the heavyweight title from Sonny Liston, his conversion to Islam, criticisms of the Vietnam War, and banishment from boxing, his return to fight Joe Frazier in 71, him reclaiming the title from George Foreman in the Rumble in the Jungle from 74, also touching on the great social and political upheaval in the United States following the assassinations of Martin Luther King Jr. as well as Malcolm X. And, it's a Michael Mann movie. It's a long, long movie, but, this was the first movie from Will Smith to basically show that, it's basically an Oscar-bait film, but I take that back, because kind of Legend of Bagger Vance, I think, was kind of that first movie that was trying for Will Smith, for him to win an Oscar on that one, but unlike Legend of Bagger Vance, which was not a great movie, this one actually is. I thought this movie was really damn good. I mean, Will Smith does a really good job of playing Muhammad Ali. He shows why he should have been nominated for Best Actor, which he was, along with Jon Voight, who was nominated for Best Supporting Actor, playing Howard Cosell. The visual look of the film is really impressive. You really do buy into Will Smith's performance in this, and it's Michael Mann. Michael Mann does not usually make very bad movies. And, there are definitely a lot of Oscar-baitish moments in here, moments where you could tell they're just trying to pump up the emotions so you can believe that this guy should be worthy of an Academy Award, which Will Smith would eventually win an Academy Award about 20 years later. But the movie works. The movie works well enough. I think it does more than enough of its job to say, hey, we can make a movie here without feeling like we're being manipulative to you. At times it can, but never to the point where the movie loses you completely. And I think it works because Michael Mann knows what he's doing. He makes it work. He's got a great script to work with here, and a great actor to show that, hey, he's got the acting chops to do a movie like this and really make it pay off with him in this leading role. And, yeah, not much more to say about this one. It's a really damn good movie. I really like this one a lot. Shouldn't have won Best Picture that year? Probably not. I mean, it's not. I don't think it's as good as something like A Beautiful Mind, but it's definitely one I think deserves a lot more praise than it actually gets. I mean, I thought it was a very good film. I thought it was a very well done film. It shows what Will Smith can do as an actor, and it was a very engaging story about 10 years in this life of Muhammad Ali that he had, and he had a great life overall. A very interesting life that could have been made for numerous movies if they really wanted to go that route, but focusing on that 10 years actually kind of works in the film's favor big time. And like I said, really, really damn good movie. I can't recommend this one enough. If you haven't seen Ali, definitely check it out. It really shows you what Will Smith's capabilities are as an actor, why he deserved to be nominated for an Oscar for this. Not quite with stuff like Pursuit of Happiness, or even something like 7 Pounds, or Concussion, or Collateral Beauty, those movies he was trying to do but to get an Oscar, and it just didn't work out. But this one did. Ali is really good. So with that said, moving on to the next film, Meg Ryan and Hugh Jackman starring in Kate and Leopold.
Years of bad luck with love.
Take me home with you.
No! Why not? Look at yourself!
Kate's ideal man has arrived from 1876.
So you must be Sergeant Pepper?
This Christmas,
Why are you standing?
Accustomed to stand when a lady leaves the table.
chivalry makes a comeback.
He's handsome, he's courteous. I want more 1876.
Kate and Leopold, rated PG-13. Sneak preview Friday and Saturday night.
This is a really weird movie, man. It's a romantic comedy fantasy film telling the story of a physicist played by Liev Schreiber who accidentally pulls his great-great-grandfather, Leopold, played by Hugh Jackman, through a time portal to the 19th century, New York to the present, where he and Stewart's ex-girlfriend, Kate, played by Meg Ryan, fall in love with each other. And you wouldn't think that would make it be as crazy as the movie ends up becoming, but no joke, there was references suggesting that Kate is Stewart's great-great-grandmother that was censored from the film mere days before it was released. James Mangold basically said, the director of this said, that due to two critics who were horrified by Liev Schreiber's distant relationship to Leo, the previous four-long relationship of Stewart and Kate is classified as illegally incestuous in many jurisdictions because she is his literal ancestor. So they basically got rid of scenes where Kate has a generic relationship to Stewart, a scene where Ryan appears to be in the background of a 19th century party, and a cameo by the director, who basically made the changes demanding at the demands of a test screening. Even with that, though, the plot is all over the place, and there is a good idea for a premise here. I mean, taking a guy from another time and making him fall in love with this woman in modern day, there's potential there, and I think with a better script overall, maybe this could have worked. But I don't think it's James Mangold's fault, even though he is one of the writers on this. It's still very early on in his career, and actually, no, when you think about it, he made Copland and Goal Interrupted, which were two great films. I think by this point he probably should have known better what this movie should have been like. So yeah, I'm gonna put the blame on James Mangold because his name was all over this puppy, and it did not work out in the end. I mean, you can't really buy into the chemistry between Meg Ryan and Hugh Jackman. I think the only person that really comes out of this unscathed is Hugh Jackman. I mean, he's the one that's really carrying the load of the film, and it shows the charm that he has as an actor. Like, he's a very charismatic actor. He's not just Wolverine. He actually has a lot of charisma and charm, and we would see that later on down the road with many of the films that he would be involved in. And he would work well with James Mangold down the road as well, working on the Wolverine as well as Logan. But, yeah, the more I think about it, I was going to give this movie more praise than most people probably did, but the more I think about it and the more I see the behind-the-scenes trouble that this movie had, and the fact that this is a great director that really should know better by this point after making two great films in Copland and Girl Interrupted. Yeah, this is probably James Mangold's worst film overall. The one that's just like, I can't really think of anything I really liked about this movie. It's not that good of a film the more I think about it. Much as I tried to give it some praise, I can't do it, man. It's not worth it when it's all said and done. So, yeah. Hard skip on Kate and Leopold. So, anyway, let's get back to some Oscar bait. How about that? Here's Julianne Moore and Kevin Spacey in the shipping news.
Proud of a friend, since I don't know when.
Two-time Academy Award winner Kevin Spacey. Two-time Academy Award nominee Julianne Moore. Academy Award winner Judi Dench. Academy Award nominee Cate Blanchett.
Anything else I should know? That about covers it.
The shipping news.
We get it. You want Oscars. Like, stop pouring it down our throats. I mean, good lord. Two-time Academy Award winner Kevin Spacey. Two-time Academy Award winner nominee Julianne Moore. Academy Award winner Judi Dench. Academy Award nominee Cate Blanchett. Did we also forget to mention this is produced by Academy Award winning producer Irwin Winkler and directed by Academy Award nominee Lassie Hallstrom? I mean, if you took a drink for how many times they mentioned Academy Awards in that, you'd be drunk. You'd be lying dead dead on the floor if you were playing a game with that. It's just like, my God, man. And it'd be fine if the movie was good, but no, it's an Oscar-bait film. It follows an emotionally beaten man who moves with his daughter from upstate to New York to his ancestral home in a small Newfoundland fishing village, and blah, 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 blah. You've seen this done over and over again, and there's nothing new in this movie whatsoever. Lasse Hallström can make good movies, but this is one of those ones where everything about this movie is just... This is the definition of Oscar bait at its worst. I mean, from that trailer alone, it's disgusting the way this movie just has no remorse for its audience or has any idea of how to entertain its audience. It's just like, no, we've got all these Oscar-caliber actors in here, so that's more than enough for you to see this movie and really like it. And no, it didn't. It was a huge bomb when it came out. It wasn't even a big hit at the box, big hit critically, and did not get any Oscar nominations either. And what more can I say, man? It's just a boring movie. It's not an engaging film whatsoever. You can throw as many Oscar people in here as you want to, but in the end, it's not going to make it good if the movie isn't good. And this one definitely is not good. So yeah, that is the shipping news. But let's go ahead and get to some good Oscar movies, because we've got a couple here. We'll start off with this one here, Robert Altman's Gosford Park.
Actress.
She likes her she's a snobbish cow.
Ooh, yum.
Best screenplay.
I was just wondering if you wanted some company.
I suppose you like this film.
Best director. And best picture of the year.
He's a murderer.
Horrid.
Gosford Park, nominated for 5 Golden Globe Awards.
Tough luck on whoever's got any secrets to hide.
This holiday season, join the party of the year.
Perhaps the bullet did it.
Gosford Park, rated R, now playing at select theaters.
Directed by Robert Altman and written by the guy who would later create Downton Abbey, which, fun fact, Downton Abbey was actually supposed to be a spin-off of this movie, but instead it was developed as its own standalone property, and would have been very different. I mean, this is like a mix between Downton Abbey and, of all things, Knives Out, because it's a satirical black comedy mystery where you have this really big cast of actors. They have a party of these wealthy Britons plus an American producer and their servants who gather for a shooting weekend at Gosford Park, an English country house, and a murder occurs at a dinner party, and the film goes on to present the subsequent investigations from the servants' and guests' perspective. And the cast that includes Bob Balaban, Charles Dance, Stephen Fry, Michael Gambon, Richard E. Grant, Derek Jacobi, Kelly MacDonald, Helen Mirren, Jeremy Northern, Clive Owen, Ryan Felipe, Kristen Scott Thomas, Maggie Smith, Emily Watson, all throughout this movie. And it's a pretty good movie. It doesn't go quite dark black comedy like Knives Out did, even though this guy's an R rating, and that was PG-13. Knives Out was. But it's an engaging movie, and you do get invested in all the characters, and you do get invested in the mystery, too. And that's what a good mystery needs to do. Like, you need to get invested in what's going on in terms of the mystery aspect of the film. I mean, and most mysteries nowadays don't really have engaging mysteries because you can pretty much figure out what's going to be the result when it's all said and done. This one does keep you on the edge of your seat at times, and it really does work very well. It's a very solid film. It's one of Robert Altman's best films overall. I really like it, man. I think it's a really solid film. Definitely one you should check out if you haven't seen it. Gosford Park. So, with that said, let's go ahead and get to probably the best movie that came out overall this weekend, and that's Ridley Scott's Black Hawk Down. Easily the better war movie that Josh Hartnett was in 2001. But it's based off the book of the same name by journalist Mark Bowden about the crew of a Black Hawk helicopter that was shot down during the Battle of Mogadishu. And of course, this takes place during the Gulf War of the 1990s and in Somalia. And actually, this doesn't take place in the Gulf War of the 90s because that ended in 91. This is in 92 in Somalia. And You got a great cast that includes Hartnett, Ewan McGregor, Eric Bana, Tom Sizemore, Bill Fichtner, Jason Isaacs, Sam Shepard, Jeremy Piven, Ewan Grufford, Ewan Bremer, Hugh Dancy, Tom Hardy in one of his early film roles, Orlando Bloom's in here, Ty Burrell, Nikolai Coster-Waldau, and it's Ridley Scott, man. And you know, you can criticize it for the inaccuracies. There are a lot of inaccuracies here, but then again, there are a lot of inaccuracies in a lot of great historical films. But this is what I miss about Ridley Scott. When he makes a movie like this, and you see the effort going into it with the visual style, the way he shoots the film, I miss this Ridley Scott a lot. It's why I can't get excited for Ridley Scott movies anymore, because they're just not as exciting or as engaging as a movie like this is. This is probably one of the best war movies ever made. It's a very engaging film. You get so invested in the action sequences. They're top-notch. The way the film is shot is well done. The music by Hans Zimmer is great. The writing is very good. The acting is very good. Everything about this movie just works so well. The trailers, I thought, did a pretty good job of getting me invested in checking this movie out. I think it delivers everything that it promises and then some. Like I said, it's got inaccuracies to it, but you know what? A lot of the great historical films have a lot of inaccuracies, but we love them anyway. I mean, Titanic's probably the biggest one of all. And that's one of the biggest movies of all time. But if you make a good movie like this that is an entertaining film, you can let that go. And like I said, this is what I miss from Ridley Scott. I want to see more movies like this. I don't want him going back to the well with something like Gladiator. I don't want him doing the same movie over and over again with the Alien Covenant and Prometheus. I want to see him do something that is showing his true talent. Like, more movies like this in The Martian, please, from Ridley Scott. No more movies like Napoleon, please. Please, I'm begging you. But, Black Hawk Down, what more can I say? Classic film. So let's get to some more Oscar material with the movie that had Halle Berry win her first Oscar, and that is Monsters Ball.
Monsters Ball.
So in the movie, Billy Bob Thornton plays a corrections officer who begins a relationship with a woman played by Halle Berry, unaware that she is the widow of a man who is assisted in executing, who's played by P. Diddy, of all people. Directed by Mark Forster and produced by Lee Daniels, who would later go on to direct his own movie with Precious, and also Lee Daniels, the butler. Again, kind of a movie that has a lot of an Oscar baitish type of thing, but the stuff that makes it work, the performances by Billy Bob Thornton, especially Halle Berry, are really, really good. Heath Ledger has a really good role in this as well. So does Peter Boyle. It's interesting seeing Sean Combs and Mos Def in a role that doesn't usually seem like they should be in, but it works to their favor. I mean, playing against character, I should say, but it works very well here. I think the movie does a very good job of handling that. Not one of the better films of the year, but it works it works because mostly of the highlight of Halle Berry's performance and Billy Bob Thornton doing what he does best. I mean, it's a good film. Not a great film overall, but I like it. Not much more to say about that one. That's Monsters Ball. So let's go ahead and wrap this up with, if the shipping news was probably the worst Oscar bait movie of the weekend, this is definitely number 2. Sean Penn in I Am Sam.
One is talking about I Am Sam.
Hi, this is Sam! Maybe you sound a little bit too excited.
It's a wonderful movie about the power of the human spirit. Sean Penn makes you laugh and breaks your heart. Michelle Pfeiffer gives an amazing performance.
I can go at least another 9 rounds, but you gotta let me know.
It's one of the year's best films.
I wouldn't let any daddy cookie.
That was a very touching moment.
I Am Sam, rated PG-13. Now playing.
How did you make Robin Williams and Jack look more dignified than this, Sean Penn? Because it's literally like Jack, except this one's clearly going for more Oscar bait. But Sean Penn plays Sam Dawson, who has the mental capability of a 7-year-old. He has a daughter whose homeless mother has abandoned them both, and Sam's difficulties become problematic as his daughter is taken away, the daughter played by a young Dakota Fanning in one of her early film roles. Sam finds a lawyer who handles the case pro bono, and in the process, Sam teaches her a great deal about love, and whether it's really all needed. I mean, just... do I even need to say what's wrong with this movie? It's so manipulative, it's melodramatic, and it's just disgusting, man. Like, this is a movie that's one of those ones where Robert Downey Jr. from Tropic Thunder, you know, he said, never go full retard. This is that movie. This is one of those movies that's the prime definition of that. I mean, this is abysmally awful. I mean, this is a movie that's just like, it's got all the things you need for an Oscar bait movie, the melodramatic moments, and look, Sean Penn's a great actor, Michelle Pfeiffer's a great actress, and great cast overall in here. But man, this is it's just one of those movies where you just go and look at why. Like, why can't you try to win an Oscar for actually playing a character? Not at this, where you're trying to do where you're trying to be, mentally challenged when you know that it's not going to work all the time. And as much as you want to try to use this to get an Oscar, it's just not worth it, man. And if you can't make it work, then don't do it, man. But I don't know. This one made me. I mean, the shipping news made me mad for how just manipulative and like Oscar. So much it wants an Oscar so hard that it would take it behind the back of a convenience store and give it a blowjob if it means it gives him an Oscar. Like this movie, like, it's despicable what this movie was trying to do. And as much as I love these actors involved here, they all should have known better than this. Like it's not like this is. I've got nothing, man. Like, I don't really know what else to say about this one. Like, I mean, I guess Sean Penn's doing okay of a job in this, but man, just what he has to do for it, I just can't get behind it. I mean, I can't give this movie the praise that I think they wanted me to give it, but I just can't do it, man. I can't do that to myself. I'm tired of seeing movies like this, and luckily we've steered clear away of that in the last 2 decades, and I hope we don't go down that path again. But you never know. Somebody might think it's time for a rebirth of this, but hopefully that will not be the case. But I've got nothing else to say about this one. I am Sam. Yeah, just not worth it, man. Just not worth it. Going back to that.